Ask any one of my teammates of who I was a teammate and a man and a person. And yes, I'm a cancer to a place that's okay with losing because I want to win that bad. You're absolutely correct. He's saying, yeah, he's a cancer to places that like to lose. Stephen A., you like, love, hate, what? Beckham's response on Twitter.
Well, I like that part about the cancer because I think that Gettleman, provoked and initiated all of this. I don't like how expansive he was. I think responding to folks on Twitter, he put forth like 41 tweets and went out of his way to, 44 tweets actually, and I think about 41 or 42 of them were coming to the defense of himself, and I think he went a little bit overboard with it. As it pertains to I'm only a cancer on a team that's okay with losing, I think the New York Giants deserve that shot because Mr. Dave Gettleman, a grown man who is an executive, who is an accomplished executive, believe it or not, should know better than taking shots at Odell Beckham Jr., which is exactly what he did, I think, a day or two earlier when he was asked about the problem with the coach in the Giants locker room, and he said it's not a problem anymore. Clearly, he wasn't talking about Olivia Vernon or anybody else. He was talking about Odell Beckham Jr., and that was an unnecessary shot, and it was childish for Gettleman to do that. So I don't blame Odell Beckham Jr. for coming to his own defense in that regard. But then he got a bit excessive, and that part I didn't like at all. A matter of fact, I hated it because I'm looking at Odell Beckham Jr. and I'm saying you're commenting with trolls on Twitter. Good luck with that, number one. But number two, and more importantly, he went at somebody talking about what he's done in the playoffs. Odell Beckham Jr. has been to one more playoff game than you and I, which is to say just one in his entire career. And in that particular game, he dropped about 3 or 4 passes of the 11 attempts that were thrown in his direction. I think the number was 4, if I remember correctly. And so you're in no position to really bloviate or come to your own defense about your postseason performance because you only had one of them, and it wasn't very impressive. And so I think that you've got to recognize that and understand that if you're Odell Beckham Jr., the fact that you made that spectacular catch, that one-handed catch against the Cowboys in East Rutherford, New Jersey, changed the complexion or the trajectory of your career and your life. You became an instant magnet. Box office material, endorsement deals came your way. The Nike deal came thereafter. And all of these things happened to you because of that catch. As great of a talent as you are, and he is phenomenal, and actually a good person, I might add, undeserving of what Gettleman did to him or said about him, that is. The bottom line is Odell Beckham Jr. still has an awful lot to prove.
I love, if it's like love or hate, I love Odell's response. In fact, I'm going to get to the playoffs thing in a second. Other than the playoffs thing, perfect. It's a perfect response. Gettleman has a lot of nerve calling Odell a cancer. And by the way, I've heard of because the cancer with the Giants has been the front office and the coaching. They've been bad. They've had some talent. They've been bad. The front office had to fix the line. Gettleman went out and handed out and made Nate Solder the richest lineman in the NFL briefly, offensive lineman. Good job, Dave. Notice who got rid of Nate Solder? The Patriots. You think it's wise to sign to the biggest contract, the guy that Bill Belichick feels like he can part with? Look, Odell is, I think, the most talented wideout who ever lived. I think he has a chance to be the greatest of all time. I think the Giants didn't like, what I hear, the fact that he wasn't big on film study and stuff like that. And the excuse they make is sometimes he's not where it's going to be. It messes up the offense. And the nonsense of that is that, demonstrably, according to the numbers, Eli was barely an NFL quarterback starter with Odell on the field. And without Odell on the field, he was much worse. So how is Odell not being where he's supposed to be, according to some people that I've heard from? How is that hurting the Giants if they're much worse without him on the field? By the way, statistics, well, according to the numbers, those are records of events. In Odell's tenure as a New York Football Giant, they never had an offensive line. They were terrible. Until Saquon 1 year, they had 0 running game. And let me be very clear, and I love Eli Manning. He brought New York to Super Bowls with clutch plays. Love him. When Odell was on the Giants, Eli was cooked. They have not had a quarterback. And the fact that then they turn around and try to go after his reputation, basically, as a cancer, he has every right to say,
hold on.
I'm a cancer on a losing team because I am trying to win.
Hold on, I need to correct the record here for a second. Unless I've missed a massive story. Gettleman did not call Odell Beckham Jr. a cancer. He said the Giants
I didn't say
had
that.
Max has said it twice here, Stephen A. Just let me correct this record really quickly. He said there was a culture problem. Okay, go ahead.
I have the quote. I want to read the quote. That's why I wanted to interrupt. Max, here was what the quote was. He's talking to NewJersey.com. He says there's more to it than just collecting talent. There is a cultural thing to it that's critical. I have not been on a team that's gone to a Super Bowl that's had a culture problem. The reporter asked him, followed up by asking Gettleman if he had a culture problem in New York, and Gettleman said, not anymore.
So who's he referring to?
That was the shot that everybody.
You can read into it.
Yes, I said earlier in the show, I inferred. I should have said that again. I'm inferring,
and he's
because I'm a reasonable person with a brain, that he is talking about Odell Beckham Jr. Are we satisfied now? Look.
No. The distinction was whether or not he called him a cancer versus said he had a culture problem. He did not call him a cancer. Beckham called himself a cancer. He called himself a cancer to an organization that was okay with losing. And that becomes the operative problem now, Max. The Giants are certainly guilty of many mistakes, including, in my opinion, drafting Saquon Barkley over Sam Darnold a year ago. They are guilty of incompetence, but are they okay with losing? If your answer to that is anything but yes, you can't be okay with Odell Beckham Jr.
I'll tell you why it's totally fair for Odell to say yes. Because if you're Giants ownership and you keep putting losing front offices and coaches in place, then you're okay with losing. So long as they reflect your general sense of how football should work, they fit the profile from central casting according to ownership, but they continue to lose and you continue to operate the same way, then you are okay with losing, and Odell is not.